Laundry detergent isn't just a cleaning product. It's the one chemical in your house that touches everything. Every shirt you wear, every sheet you sleep on, every towel you press against your face. It sits on the fabric for hours, transferring onto your skin all day long. Most people never think about what's actually inside the bottle, but I did. I pulled the top-selling detergent brands off the shelves, looked up their ingredient lists, checked independent lab testing results, and read through environmental working group safety ratings. What I found is that the majority of products in your laundry aisle contain chemicals that are banned in parts of Europe, linked to cancer in government studies, and in some cases are not even listed on the label. And the brand most people trust the most has the worst track record of all. Let's start with the one in nearly every American household: Tide. Original, made by Procter & Gamble. For over 70 years, Tide has marketed itself as America's #1 detergent. For most of that time, nobody questioned what was actually inside. Then New York State decided to test it. In a 2022 study commissioned by Ingredients Matter and conducted by Bureau Veritas, an independent chemical testing lab, Tide Original was found to contain 3.67 parts per million of a chemical called 1,4-dioxane. That's nearly double the legal limit that New York State set at 2 parts per million. The EPA classifies 1,4-dioxane as likely to be carcinogenic to humans. It has been found in groundwater near chemical plants and waste sites. Here is what makes this worse. 1,4-dioxane is not even an ingredient. It is a byproduct of the manufacturing process, which means it never appears on the label. You can read the back of your Tide bottle cover to cover, and you will not find it listed anywhere. You are being exposed to a probable carcinogen without any way of knowing it from the packaging. Procter & Gamble eventually reformulated to comply with New York law, bringing levels below 1 part per million. They did not do it voluntarily. They did it because an entire state threatened to pull their product off shelves. That reformulation only applies to New York. There is no federal limit on 1,4-dioxane in cleaning products. That means the bottles sold in Texas or Florida may not have the same formula as the ones sold in New York State. Arm & Hammer Clean Burst tested even higher. The same Bureau Veritas study found it at 4.28 parts per million of 1,4-dioxane, the highest of any detergent tested. That is more than double the New York State limit. This is a brand that markets itself as a family-friendly, baking soda-based cleaner. The image on the bottle practically screams wholesome, but behind the branding, it contained the highest concentration of a probable carcinogen out of every product in the test. Arm & Hammer was forced to reformulate in New York. Whether the same formulation is used nationally remains unclear. Gain Original Plus Aroma Boost came in at 3.32 parts per million, and that was over the legal limit. Gain is another Procter & Gamble brand, and it is one of the most heavily scented detergents on the market. That scent is part of the problem. The word fragrance on a label is essentially a black box. Under current regulations, manufacturers can list fragrance as a single ingredient, even though it may contain dozens of individual chemicals, including phthalates. Phthalates are endocrine disruptors, meaning they interfere with your hormonal system. Studies have linked them to reproductive problems, allergies, asthma in children, and developmental delays. Because fragrance is considered a trade secret, manufacturers do not have to tell you what chemicals are actually creating that scent. You are trusting a pleasant smell with your family's hormonal health. Now here's the one that genuinely disturbed me. Dreft Stage 1. This is the detergent Procter & Gamble markets specifically for washing newborn baby clothes. It's positioned as the gentle, safe option for the most vulnerable members of your family. Independent testing found it contained 10 parts per million of 1,4-dioxane. 10. That's 5 times the New York State legal limit, 5 times the limit in a product designed for infants. The marketing shows soft blankets, sleeping babies, and pastel colors. The lab results show a probable carcinogen at concentrations higher than any other product tested. For new parents who bought Dreft specifically because they wanted something safer for their baby, this should be a goot punch. It's not what they were promised. The Environmental Working Group, a nonprofit that independently rates household products, paints a broader picture. Out of 434 general-purpose laundry detergents they reviewed, 65% scored a D or worse. Nearly 38% received an outright F. These ratings account for ingredient safety, transparency, and environmental impact. The majority of what is sold in your supermarket does not pass basic safety standards set by an independent watchdog, and EWG ratings flag the same recurring problems across brands: synthetic fragrances hiding undisclosed chemicals, optical brighteners that do not actually clean clothes but coat fabrics in chemicals that reflect light to create the illusion of whiteness and which remain on the fabric against your skin, sodium lauryl sulfate, whose manufacturing process creates 1,4-dioxin as a byproduct, formaldehyde, a known carcinogen used as a preservative in liquid detergents, and nonylphenol ethoxylates, which are endocrine disruptors banned in the European Union but still permitted in the United States. Then there is the physical danger that has nothing to do with ingredients. Since Tide Pods launched in 2012, poison control centers have received over 50,000 calls related to laundry pod ingestion. Between 2012 and 2013 alone, over 17,000 children under 6 were exposed. Emergency department visits for laundry detergent injuries among young children tripled within the first year pods appeared on shelves. At least 9 people have died in cases linked to laundry pods in the United States, including 2 children under the age of 2 and 7 adults with dementia. The Centers for Disease Control and Prevention classified laundry pods as an emerging public health hazard in 2012. Children who bite into them experience severe vomiting, chemical burns to the esophagus, respiratory distress, and in some cases, coma. The pods were designed to look convenient, but their candy-like appearance created a new category of household danger that did not exist before. Procter & Gamble eventually made the packaging opaque and added a bittering agent. But the fundamental problem remains. You are storing concentrated industrial chemicals in a format that a toddler can hold in one hand and dissolve in their mouth in seconds. After investigating the worst, here are 2 brands that actually passed scrutiny. 7th Generation Free and Clear tested at 0 parts per million for 1,4-dioxin in the Bureau Veritas study. 0. It is one of the only mainstream brands that managed a completely clean result. The product uses plant-based surfactants, contains no synthetic fragrances, no dyes, and no optical brighteners. It carries an EPA Safer Choice certification and scores well on EWG's database. It is widely available at most major grocery stores, and while it costs slightly more than conventional detergent, the absence of probable carcinogens and hormone disruptors seems like a reasonable trade. Branch Basics takes it further. Their concentrate is made from plant-based and mineral-based ingredients with full transparency on every component. No fragrance, no synthetic preservatives, no sodium lauryl sulfate, no methylisothiazolinone, and no ethoxylated ingredients, which means there is no pathway for 1,4-dioxin to form in the product. It is verified by the Environmental Working Group and independently tested. Branch Basics operates on a concentrate and dilute model, so one bottle replaces multiple cleaning products. It is a premium option, but for households with children, with skin sensitivities, or for anyone who simply wants to know exactly what is touching their clothes, it represents the cleanest option available on the market today. Your laundry detergent touches your skin more than almost any other product in your home. It is on your clothes 16 hours a day. It is on your sheets all night. It is on the towels you dry your face with every morning. If the product you are using contains chemicals that a state government had to threaten to ban before the manufacturer would remove them, it might be worth reconsidering what is sitting on top of your washing machine. Here is a simple rule. Turn the bottle around and read the ingredients. If you see sodium lauryl sulfate, you likely have 1,4-dioxin as an unlisted byproduct. If you see fragrance listed as a single word, you have no idea what is actually in there. If the ingredient list is long and full of words you cannot pronounce, that is not a cleaning product. That is a chemical experiment running on your family's clothing every single week. Real detergent does not need carcinogens to clean a shirt. It does not need hormone disruptors to remove a stain. The brands I showed you prove it. The question is whether you keep trusting a label or whether you start reading what is behind it.